Welcome to the Off Balance Podcast, where faith, family, and business collide with your host, Dr. Brooks Demming, Christian life coach, intercessor, and entrepreneur.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Brooks. Welcome to Off Balance, a podcast for adults trying to balance life. Thank you for tuning in each week to learn strategies to help you be the better version of yourself. The sponsor of today's episode is Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian-based clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. Today's guest is a CTA certified coach. He works with parents to empower them to prioritize themselves so that they can build meaningful relationships with their children. I am excited to welcome to the show, Mr. Joshua Campbell-Hogan.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Who is Joshua Campbell-Hogan?
Joshua Campbell-Hogan, and you can call me Josh. I'll go by Josh. Most importantly, I think right now who I am is a husband and a dad. And I strive to be the best version of myself I can be for my family. And before that, I wasn't that person. I was searching for who I was, what I wanted, what it was kind of more selfish, I think. And in that, I kind of got lost looking for myself. And coming back to center and realizing that I am bigger than just myself, if that makes sense, that there's more to life than just looking out for me and here to serve others, that opened up a whole nother door. So I am here to be of service for my kids, show up present for them, be in the moments for them, and be in the moments for my husband. And that has opened doors to be actually who Josh is, which is a loving, kind, free, spirited person that wants to serve others.
That is really good. So what was your transition like? What even made you realize that you were selfish?
Well, for the longest time before I met my husband, I thought I'm never really going to find the love of my life. I'm never going to have kids because I love myself too much. I always said that. I said, if I can find somebody that I love more than myself, then I'll really get married. And I was in a bad relationship for about 7 years. They took, and I gave.
Yeah.
And then at that point, I thought, you know what? I love myself too much for this. And then from there, I was just kind of like, I just knew that I wanted. And so I started taking. And then I wasn't there for my family. I wasn't there for my friends. And even once I met my husband, I still kind of felt that way. And I started looking for what I wanted. And then even once I got kids, I started looking. I felt like I lost myself. And I started just looking what I wanted to do, starting a business and all this stuff. And then through that, I realized, okay, I'm sort of selfish. And I've been looking for this for a long time. What do I want? And when I stopped looking for exactly what I wanted and started looking sort of at the needs of others, then I was able to see what I wanted. Does that make any sense?
No, it actually does. It actually does, because I think sometimes we think something traumatic has to happen, like an aha moment to make the light, come on. But essentially it's just living. And
right.
It's just realizing, wow, we can be so much better if I transition my mindset. So sometimes It's something so simple as watching your kids play, that can cause you to realize, wow, I'm approaching this, differently. So let me just kind of transition a little. So no, I completely understand what you're talking about.
Right.
And then you mentioned a business. What type of business do you have?
I actually am just finishing up my life coaching certification. And through that, I wanted to, and I've tried different network marketing businesses and multi-level marketing stuff. And it just never, and I value those things, and they taught me a lot of things, and I still do something on the side, but I knew that I wasn't serving my higher purpose. And so I started starting a coaching business, and I looked who I could serve and who I was best fit to serve and who I thought I was meant. So long story short, parent coaching is where I want to go in. And not as in how to be a better parent, really. I want to focus on helping parents prioritize themselves so they can build healthy relationships and meaningful relationships with their children. And I think that if we don't take care of ourselves, like, and I know it seems like it's coming back to selfishness, but it's not, because if we don't prioritize understanding ourselves where we are and taking care of our needs, then we cannot pour into our kids. We're not fully present in the moment. We're not fully present in taking them to school, or I found myself constantly on my phone looking for what I needed. Looking for, what does Josh need? How can Josh do this? How can I find my individuality? But I wasn't actually taking care of myself. I was looking for ways to fill myself. And
That is so good. That is so good, because a lot of parents do feel like if they put themselves first, especially mental health, or that time to replenish and to refuel, they feel like that they're being selfish, not realizing that you have to be at 100% to be the best version of you, whether that's a spouse, a parent, whatever it is. In order for you to be your best version, you have to be a version that is rested, a version that can, clearly think, whatever that looks like for you. So I am so excited for you that you are going to help parents. And so what does coaching look like?
That's a great question, Dr. Demming. That's a great question. So I think that coaching looks like for me is allowing a space for parents to find what self-care looks like for them.
Okay.
Because it's an individual thing. Coaching, looks like, for me, is going to be, I may do some one-on-ones, which is important, but I think more of a group coach setting. That way there's a community of parents that go, oh my God, I am not the only one.
Yes.
And then from that, people can spark interest and spark conversation around different things. And somebody say, well, I didn't think of that. I didn't think of this. So that's what coaching looks like for me, as a group, a community of like-minded people going through similar things, but not planning out their life or their self-care or their guilty feelings in the same way, but having a path together, knowing that they're not alone, but creating their own individual, their techniques or their whatever it is. And I'm not talking like everybody has to take a vacation from their family. Maybe it's 30 minutes in the morning. Maybe it's 30 minutes during the day. Maybe it's having 15 minutes to cut your toenails by yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Whatever that looks like for you, that you have in a group coach setting where you can say, oh my God, I can take 15 minutes just to breathe. That's huge. And you don't have to feel guilty about it.
That is very huge. And I'm so excited too, because you are a male. And a lot of the times as a father, fathers are just expected to be, the provider. They're just expected to show up or to discipline. When I think a lot of the times we forget that, there's an emotional part as well. We need to make sure that dads are also, in a good space mentally. So I'm really glad that you as a male is really, stepping into the role of making sure that parents are 100%. So what was that like for you, realizing that you're going to be a coach to parents?
It was very, actually the first time when I said it, it was like a weight kind of lifted off of me, because I had searched for where I was supposed to be or who I was supposed to serve. And I went through a lot of different things. It was actually freeing, because for so long, like you said, I felt like, so my husband is the main provider for us. And I felt like I was supposed to match that. I felt like I was supposed to match that financial providing. I felt like I was supposed to, because so long I provided for myself before I met my husband. And when we decided to, so we have, all of our kids are adopted. So we have a 4-year-old and 2 11-year-olds, a girl, a boy, and a boy. And when we decided to have kids, I decided to stop working and stay at home. And that kind of spiraled me into like, well, what am I supposed to do in my life? I've worked 20 years in the medical field, And how am I supposed to now find out who I am? So that kind of started my search again on who is Josh? How can I fill myself up? So then I thought, I got to provide financially. I've always done that. Where do I fit in? So I thought I had to reframe all of what does it mean? And I'm working on that now. What does it mean to be a man? What does it mean to be a stay-at-home dad and be a man and not be this financial breadwinner, whatever that is, and provide for my family? And so I think that a lot of men struggle with that, to be the emotional provider and the financial provider and love on their kids in the emotional way that they need, and see their dad be able to cry and forgive and mess up, all those things. And it's okay. And I think that if we teach our kids just to push through without taking a break, then what are we teaching our kids?
Yeah.
Even from a man standpoint, we have to be strong. I said to my son a few months ago, he's 4, and I said, listen, big boys don't cry. And I immediately stopped and I said, oh, that's terrible. I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Because big boys do cry. I mean, maybe don't cry over certain things because it's silly, but it's okay to cry. What am I teaching my kid as a parent, if I'm emotionally strained, it's okay for me to cry. So I got to teach that to my kids as well as a parent, to have those emotional moments. And that's part of taking care of myself, to know that what am I crying about? What am I emotional about? So that goes back to self-care and knowing who I am emotionally, and then providing that for my kids as well.
Yeah, that is really good. Because I remember when I first had my daughter, and I always envied stay-at-home moms, right? So I'm like, I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. So I left the workforce. Josh, I lasted 7 months.
Yeah.
And what I realized was I missed the adult interaction. Like, I missed the being able to express myself. I don't think we realize the importance of those outside conversations with other adults. And so my husband is military. So when he would come home, he would be exhausted. And so, but I was so happy to see another adult that as soon as he came home, I just wanted to talk to him. And so it caused a little friction for a while because we didn't know how to communicate, as far as, okay, I'm home all day with the baby. I'm not getting the intellect stimulation that I need. You're at work all day, running things. You're super busy. You're super stressed. So we didn't know how, I didn't know how to allow him to come in and decompress. And he didn't know how to listen to me because I legit was like isolated all day. And so the fact that you were able to transition into being a stay-at-home dad, I commend you, because I lasted 7 months and I was like, oh my God, I have to go back to the workplace. And so what I realized was stay-at-home parents, they're like a different caliber, because you really have to be able to maintain the household. You have to be able to make sure that the kids are okay, at the same time making sure that you're okay. And so I commend you for that. So what was it like for you realizing that, one, okay, this is a new experience for you? And so how did you find your grounding with that?
Well, it wasn't easy. So I'm glad you commend me for that, and I appreciate that. But that's what led me to here, because it wasn't easy, because that's where I felt like I kind of lost myself. And my husband's like, what is wrong with you? And I was like, I don't know. He's like, why are you so angry and agitated? Why are you so irritated? Why are you so short? And I was like, I don't know. I think it's because I don't know who I am anymore. Because our kids are adopted. So we've had our kids going on 3 years. Mm-hmm. So this is fairly new.
Yeah.
So we went from 0 kids to 3 in 6 months. And that's a transition in itself. And so our youngest kid, he had developmental therapy, developmental therapy, play therapy, other therapies that he had to go to. So he was in those for three times a week. And so I was busy, and our other kids have, mental health therapy and things like that from the trauma they experienced. And so I was constantly doing therapies and stuff. And that was another reason I stayed at home. Once those tapered off and I was at home 6 hours a day, I was like, this is not what I signed up for. I don't need home 6 hours a day. What am I going to do with my day? I can only fold so many clothes. And we were blessed enough to have somebody clean the house. And then we let them go because I need to clean the house. And I was like, well, I can't clean the house all the time. So I hired them back. And then I let them go again. And then I hired them back and then let them go again. Seriously, this was like a huge process of me trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And because if I'm home all day, then I don't need to pay somebody. Right. So it was a big process. And that's what part of the process of like figuring out where I want to be, what I want to do. And then it ended up being in life coaching. And so it wasn't easy.
Yeah.
And I had to find that place of what is it I want to do? Who is Josh again? And I am a dad and I'm a husband, but I'm also Josh, the server, the giver, but I also need to be poured into. And that's where I found some different coaching groups where I meet with masterminds and different people that are on the same level, because my friends that I had before are not that same person. They're not that group of people that are like, thinking outside the box, so I had to find that. And, but now I found the place where I can pour into others and I'm pouring into myself at the same time. And then I make sure I set my hours. I don't get on my phone. I don't do anything before I take the kids to school, which turned into summer. I do my family time in the morning. Then I make sure that I'm done by a certain afternoon. Then I spend it with my family. So I've had to create that. I've had to find that space, and it took time. So anybody that listens that's a parent or a stay-at-home mom, dad, caretaker, you just have to find that time and that space that's right for you and figure that out. And it takes a process. It's a process. And I found that out. It's just this process. And it was brutal.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy. There's a lot of trial and error.
I wish I had you 17 years ago, because I felt so embarrassed, because I felt like because I didn't want to be in that space that I was a bad parent. Does that make sense? Like I felt like, oh my God, you get to spend all this time with your kid. You should be so happy, but I wasn't. That was when I was at my lowest. And so I felt so embarrassed. I felt ashamed. I felt like I wasn't a good mom because there was no one there to talk about it with. There was no one there to coach me through it, because as parents, we're expected to be these superheroes, and we're expected not to complain. We're expected not to communicate when we're not having a good day, or to communicate when we're upset. Whatever it is, we're expected to shut down those emotions and just be a great parent. So I am so happy. I wish I had a parent coach when I was rearing my daughter, because I can tell you it was days when I was up and down. I had good days, bad days, trials and errors. And so to create a space for parents to be able to come in and be transparent in a judgment-free zone, that is going to be an excellent environment. So when a parent sign up for your coaching, like what would it look like as far as, the actual session? Or is it like individualized in that sense? Or would you guys do like group topics, or what would that look like?
Yeah. So it's going to start out with it's going to be a group thing. All the coursework will be the same.
Okay.
And then from there we will meet, and the first thing they're going to do is do a true self course. There's questions that breaks down, and it breaks down to who they really are. And it gets pretty deep.
Yeah.
Because if you're not sure who you are, you kind of lost yourself, which is every parent. I mean, maybe not, but it breaks down who they are, who they want to be, what some of their goals are, and then action steps to reach those goals. Because if we have goals, we don't have action steps to reach them, then it's just a goal with a hope, So it breaks those down. And then throughout the different modules that they're in, they will break them down, those their true authentic self, breaks them down even more. We come up with their core values as they are as a parent, as they are as an individual. Sometimes they overlap. And then we talk about their key motivators and what motivates them as a parent. So that'll be kind of individual to them, and they can work on those. And throughout the course, we take action steps to implement that self-care, setting aside that stuff. And then we also want to work on mindset and breaking limiting beliefs. You touched on a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
The embarrassment, the shame. We have to be superheroes, right? We can't communicate.
Yeah.
We feel the guilt. So we got to break through all of that. Once we get through who our authentic self is, then we have to break down those barriers. And sometimes we'll work on that first, sometimes we'll work on the second. It depends on kind of where the group talk goes. We bust all of that bullshit stuff. Sorry. We bust through all of that stuff. And then and then we talk about how, the oxygen mask metaphor. Put on yourself, we put on somebody else. Take it a step further. If you decide to put all your kids first, not your stuff on the back burner. So the oxygen mask, put it on yourself, and then you're breathing, you put on somebody else. If you don't, then you're not even breathing. If you take care of everybody else first, you're not even breathing. How can you help somebody else breathe if you're not breathing?
That is so good.
Right. And then I was raised religious. And I had to kind of come back to myself spiritually because I was just told how to believe. But sometimes you got to come back spiritually to what is right for you. So we were taught how God gives us grace, right?
Yes.
And how we're supposed to give grace to others. But we need to talk about how we can give grace to ourselves.
That is so important.
Because we're humans too. We deserve grace. We deserve mercy. And we got to be able to give it to ourselves, right?
That is so important because I think a lot of the times we don't.
We're so
hard on ourselves.
Give others. A lot of times we're so free to say, we talk to our friends and say, hey, give yourself some grace here. You're a working mom, you're a working dad, you're doing all you can. We freely give it to other people, but we never give it to ourselves. So let's work through that. You are human. You are enough, full stop.
Are you ready to take your personal or professional growth to the next level? Introducing my tailored coaching experience, a personalized journey designed to help you achieve your goals and unlock your full potential. With 3 in-depth 90-minute coaching calls, we'll work together to create a customized plan tailored specifically to your unique needs and aspirations. Whether you're navigating a career transition, launching a business, or seeking clarity in your personal life, this program is designed to guide you towards success. With actionable strategies and unwavering support every step of the way, you'll receive a coaching roadmap, a personalized step-by-step plan to keep you focused and aligned with your goals. Take the first step toward your transformation by visiting brooksdemming.com.
Your coaching is going to be so good. So can people sign up? Is it a short-term program? Is it a long-term? What does your packages look like in the amount of the length of time?
Actually, my first launching will happen in July and the coaching program will start August 7th. That'll be my first. So it's not all out there just yet. So I'm excited to do the launch in July. And I'm excited to start signing up people in July. So be looking for that.
And so do you have a website? If they wanted to contact you, how would they contact you?
Right now, it's my email. It is Joshua Campbell-Hogan at yourlifewithpurpose.com.
I like that. Your life with purpose.
Yeah.
I like that.
Full transparency, I had nothing. I had a website up and it's under construction again because the topic changed from that because I went into the parent coaching. And so it kind of changed. So we're adjusting the website as we speak right now to be streamlined for the parenting coach. So that's why I'm putting the launch date out a little bit because I'm adjusting some of that and some of the coursework. So I'm really excited.
That is so exciting, but that's not a problem because if you are listening and you are interested in working with Josh, please refer to my website and I will make sure that I have his upcoming information as far as his launch. We'll have his promotional stuff on the website as well as his email information. And then we will have a link to his website because as a parent myself, I know the difficulty with trying to have a facade that you're perfect when essentially we're not perfect. None of us is perfect. And so we don't have to have the stress of trying to be perfect. If you have an environment that you can go to and this coaching is going going to be an environment where you can go to and be transparent, that is definitely an environment that you want to be in. Because a lot of the times, even when we confide in our friends, it's a little judgment there sometimes, especially if they look at who you show up as, when you go to work, or who you show up as in other areas of your life. They may judge you because they feel like, well, you give all of this over here. Why can't you do it in this, part of your life? And it's not that simple. It's not a one size fit all approach to everything. So again, this coaching program is really going to bring insight to, yourself as a person, as well as who do you want to be as a parent. So again, I commend you, because a lot of men, and I'm not trying to make this a gender thing, but a lot of men do not feel comfortable voicing their stresses are supposed to be hard. You're supposed to, not have emotions. You're supposed to just be dad. But we forget that that's a whole person in there. Right. And dad is just a title.
Right.
So I commend you. Like, I don't think you realize the walls that you are breaking down just by saying, I'm a parent. It can be hard. It can also be rewarding, but this is what I did to transition into the person that I am today. So again, I just commend you on that, because I know that was hard, because I can remember not wanting to say it. Like, I can remember being on the phone with my friends and they would say, how was your day, or how is it going? And I wanted to say it so bad. I hate being a stay-at-home mom, but I could never say it because I just knew it would be judged. I just knew that they wouldn't understand that the woman needed more. You get what I'm saying? Like, I can be like, I'm different. Right. I have to be a wife. I have to be a mother, but I'm at the core heart of who I am is a woman. And I have to stimulate those things that make me Brooks. So I am so glad. Oh my God.
Yeah.
That they're going to go through like who they are, their core values, their parenting core values. And what made you even to think about parenting core values? Because as you were saying that, I'm like, do I have core values as a parent?
Well, my God. That's something that happened because I was going through something, and I did the authentic thing myself, and it said, what are your core values? And it's like, just like you said, I was like, I don't know. Let me think. And so I did this thing that kind of brought me through this core value thing. And so that's what I'm going to do in my coursework is break down their core values. And, mine are curiosity, self-expression, variety, ability. Those are my core values. And I was like, that's exactly me. And I love that.
So good.
And I love that people can find that, and it really speaks to who I am, and it'll speak to who they are. Then they can say, okay, this is what I know to be true of myself. And then we can work from there.
That is so good. And then you said that the core values of yourself and your parenting core values, they may overlap. And now that you say that, I can see that happening, because there's some things that I believe that I want my daughter to kind of believe. Like, I want her to be a person that has integrity. I want her to be a person that shows compassion for others. I want her to be a person that's accepting and that don't, count people out because of maybe, where they live or whatever the case is. Like, I want her to be open to love people. And so that is interesting that they could possibly overlap. But then there's some parts of me, I'm like, I don't want her to have nothing. Like, no, I want her to be able to communicate, because when I grew up, if we expressed ourselves, that was considered talking back, or that was considered being disrespectful. So the way that I raised her was, I wanted her to be able to say, I'm upset. This is why I'm upset. You and dad did X, Y, and Z, just for her to be able to develop those communication skills. So I just never, like, this is the first time that I thought about my personal core values and having parenting core values. Like, I never really thought about it like that. So that's an aha moment for me that, wow. And I'm like, I guess I do have parenting core values. That's really interesting.
Yeah, because there's sometimes I'll say things that were just ingrained in me from my parents. And I've had to learn not to blame them and take ownership and 100% responsibility for my life. I've had to journal a lot about it, like not blaming my parents for certain things. And so there's certain things that I say to my kids, like, eat all of your food on your plate. And I had to rewire my brain, like, why do I say that? Is
Yeah.
that important? Do I have a redo and say, okay, you don't have to eat all the things on your plate? So I had to work through some of that stuff. And that's a parenting core value that I've had to change. Like, we don't have to eat all of our foods on our plate, but we come up with something where we don't just give them what they want.
Yeah.
We had to come through an agreement, like we're going to change the menu for this for a reason and not just make them eat out of their plate. Maybe they're really full and that's okay. You're going to sit here until you eat it all, go to bed hungry. What?
Yeah, that was a lot of trauma. Like, I don't think, and we can't really blame, because a lot of the times we do what we have the capacity to do. And so a lot of the parenting skills that a lot of us have is passed on. And so basically we just have to be able to identify, okay, this wasn't quite working. So let me kind of transition that. So that's really good that you said that. So is your program for like expecting parents, or do they already have to be a parent? Could it be for parents that's maybe waiting on adoptions, foster parents? Like, what is your
I think that another good question. I think that it's for all parents. I think that that'll be an individual basis whenever they come to me and we discuss where they are,
Okay.
and what they're going through and what their goals are.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't want to, obviously we know that we can't serve everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think it depends on when we talk to them, when they contact me, let's dig in and see where they are and what they want. And then we can go from there.
That is really good, because I know someone's probably listening like, well, I'm pregnant. Can I join in? Because I would like to get the experience now, or, we're considering adopting or whatever the case is.
Right.
So please make sure you reach out to him just to see if you are a fit for his practice, because like I said, it's going to be like eye-opening, and there are going to be a lot of aha moments, because just talking to you, I'm like, wait a minute, my daughter's about to be 18, but I think I might need to get into this program, because now that next year she would graduate high school, we would transition to empty nesters, and now we have to change our parenting approach. So I will probably be reaching out to you, Josh, because I'm like, where are the empty nesters at in this group? Because like, how am I going to transition? That's like, that's different. That's going from minor to adult. So now I have to approach, things differently. So that's going to be that's another pivotal moment in my life. Like now I know I don't want to go from the moms that are say we're best friends. No, we're not best friends, but I need to, respect you as the adult that you're transitioning in. And now I have to figure out, where do I fit in her life? Right. So I will probably be reaching out to you, because that is going to be interesting. And it's kind of scary, to think, wow, my daughter is about to graduate high school and go off to college, and now my roles will change in her life. So.
Right. It's that part of where you're going, okay, I have to let go of this and this and this, but I still have to parent in this. Yeah. And that's a hard transition. The letting go of that other stuff where you are in control of certain things, you're gonna have to let go of that control. And that is not gonna be easy, but you're gonna have to examine all that stuff and what's important to let go of, because she's gonna have to spread those wings a little bit. And that's not easy as a parent. Yeah. I'm not there yet, but I can foresee that,
Yeah. And so I'm just thinking, like, you got a client, I will be right in your group, because as I'm talking to you and I'm thinking about, wow, I'm about to transition into another area of parenting. Right. Because I can remember, when she went to kindergarten, and I was like so excited. And then, she went to middle school, and that was another emotional part for me. And then high school. And now it's like, wow, my daughter's about to graduate high school. And so now to look at my parenting, it's like, did I do enough? Because, you have that fear of, did you do enough to prepare them for the world? Because the world is so different now than when we were coming up. And so it's like, did you do enough? And then it's like, the woman that I am, does she admire that woman? Is this the type of woman that she wants to be? So then you have that going on. Because the one thing I would never want to hear is, I don't want to be anything like my mom. It's like, right. A lot of times when they say that, it's not the mothering or the parenting, it's the person that you are as an individual. So right. It's a lot to deal with. And so I would definitely be reaching out to you. So if you can leave the audience with one thing, what would it be?
I would say that as a parent, look at how you treat yourself, how you maintain your relationships. That's your kids are watching, because coming from a parenting coach, your kids are watching how you speak to yourself, how you treat yourself, and how you respect your relationships. They're watching, and that's what you're teaching them. So just be mindful of those things, because they will repeat them in their life.
They would definitely repeat them, because I can see times when, you know how like a kid would see another kid have a tantrum.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next time they experience that emotion, they would try to have a tantrum. I can remember one time I had road rage. And I was just so upset. I was like, oh my God, you cut me off, whatever. My daughter literally mimicked the exact things that I did. And from that day forth, I said, never again. I will always be on my best behavior, because she was like 1 or 2. And she was trying to tell her dad about she was all doing this. Like, I was like, wow, I was so embarrassed.
I know. I opened a package, or trying to open a package one time, and I couldn't get it open. And I was like, oh, I can't get this package open. Gosh. So my son was trying to open something, and he was like, oh, I can't get this package open. So they mimic our emotions of frustration. So if they do it in a package, and they see me, just imagine whenever I get frustrated about something else, they're going to do the same thing. So I'm not saying emotions are bad. Yeah. Obviously, emotions are good. But how we act in certain situations, they're going to do that same thing. So if we don't take care of ourselves, we just go, we're going to do the same thing. Stress, anxiety, we put that on them too. So we have to learn it. That's what I'm saying. We got to prioritize ourselves, learn to take care of ourselves, and then be there for them. They're going to do the same thing.
That is so good. Well, it has been a pleasure having you on the show, because again, you are talking about a topic that a lot of people just really shy away from. And I think it's because they don't want to be judged. They don't want to be made to feel like they're not a good parent.
Right.
And then when you think about a good parent, whose standard is that? You get what I'm saying? Like, it's so many things that goes into parenting.
Right.
So again, I am just so excited for your future clients, those that are going to work with you, because you have a solid program here, and you are really going to break down barriers, especially for men that are dads who are just, they can't. I know that's not something that they're talking about when they go bowling with their friends, or when they go to hang out. They're not saying, hey, I just feel so overwhelmed. So
right, they want to.
I know.
They need to, but they're afraid. But if we can have somebody stand and let's say, listen, I heard this one thing, and then they'll open up. Yeah. And one other thing you made mention real quick is that people are afraid of being judged. We're all being judged about something.
Yes.
Somebody's judging somebody about something. If we can block that out and say, somebody's going to judge me about something. If they want to judge me about my clothes, my hair, whatever, you know what? I'm not going to let them judge me about my parenting, because I'm going to do it the best way I know how, and I'm going to get help doing it.
Yes.
And I'm going to be proud of that, getting help. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay.
It definitely is. So listen, if you are listening again, I will have all of Josh's information on brooksdemming.com. I will make sure that you guys are able to link up with him. We are so excited because he is doing his official launch. Well, he will start the pre-launch in July, and then he will go live on August the 7th. And so if you are a parent and you are listening, I am telling you, this is not an opportunity that you want to miss out on, because we need support as parents. And sometimes we have to move outside of our circles in order to be able to get the truth and in order to be able to grow. So if you guys are listening, I assure you that you will not be disappointed if you reach out to Josh. Again, all of his information will be on my website. Josh, again, thank you so much for joining us. You have just enlightened me. Listen, my child is 17, and I'm like, yeah, I'm about to go to coaching.
Come on, we got you.
So listen, parents, your kid age does not matter, because at the end of the day, even if they're an adult, your parenting doesn't stop. we are parenting them until, unfortunately, one of us pass away. So it does not matter what age group your children are. If this is something that you feel will be beneficial to you, I encourage you guys to reach out to Josh, because he is a great coach and he is a great father, a great husband. Everything about him is great. And so you will be in good hands. Again, Josh, thank you so much for joining us, and we will be sure to keep in touch with you.
Thank you so much.
This concludes today's episode. Thank you for tuning in. I hope the information presented adds value to your life. Be sure to follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Brooks Demming. The sponsor of today's episode was Clothed by J. Christine, a Christian clothing store offering quality and affordable clothing for the everyday fashionable conscious woman. To learn more about today's guest, visit brooksdemming.com. Until next time, be resilient.
Thanks for joining. Please rate this episode and share this podcast with your family and friends. To learn more about your host, visit www.brooksdemming.com.
Hi, I'm Tiffany of Tiffany Brown Designs. With over 20 years of creative experience across industries, I create and elevate brands one design at a time. Through intentional graphic and brand design, polished film and video editing, and creative artistry. Even the music you're hearing right now, that was produced by me. I also create custom tracks for websites, intros and outros, and content. So what are you waiting for? Visit TiffanyCBrownGD.com and let's bring your vision to life.